YouTube, what's going on? Appreciate y'all watching my videos. What's going on? Oh, is this a series? It might be. It might be. I know y'all think I got it all figured out, but I just come up with stuff on the fly. I don't be planning nothing. The closest thing I come to when there's planning is running this truck. That's about all the planning I do. I plan in this truck. I got a little plan for retirement, and that's about it. Everything else in my life is just random stuff. Yeah, what's going on? Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's wrong with them. They sleep. They in the matrix. They in the matrix. I just got off the phone with a broker, and I called on the load, and we talking about the load. We about to negotiate. I'm about to negotiate a rate. Usually, when I'm talking about a rate, I usually don't throw a rate out there until I get all the information off the load. So I call up the broker. I was like, yeah, I'm calling on this load going from here to here. He was like, hold on a second. You can hear him typing in the background. He's like, oh yeah, this load is open window 8 to 5. Got this many miles, and it's a load of beverages going here. Well, he didn't say where it was going. He said it's a load of beverages. I know what the load is. It's a load of water. It's a city in South Carolina that everybody in trucking know that ship water. It ain't nothing out there. It's like woods. It's nothing out there. Not for a drive-in. I mean, the place is in the middle of nowhere. So when you see that city on the load board, it's like, yeah, that's that load of water. That's the water load. So he playing funky on the phone. I was like, so who's the shipper on this load? He was like, oh yeah, man, I can't tell you that until I send you the rate card. I was like, man, I didn't really say no. I said, okay, who's the receiver on the load? He's like, nah, I can't tell you that either. So I was like, okay, sir, I appreciate it. You have a good one. Hung up the phone. I don't got time for these games, man. I don't got time. I don't know where it is that people in this business is exempt from like courtesy and doing proper business, right? Like, I don't understand. So it's like, okay, for example, if you hire a plumber, if you hire a landscaper, right? If you hire a roofer to come do services for you, doesn't like that requires them to give an estimate on it? So I'm basically getting an estimate. But if you can't give me the details on the load, how can I properly quote the load and give you a quote on the price? Because he wants me to like give him a price. He's like, what kind of rate do you need on the load? I was like, well, I need some details on the load first. He's like, well, I can't give you that till you see the rate card. I was like, okay, sir, appreciate it. Click. It's too many loads on the board. I go home. I mean, if it's too many other loads on the board to be playing games. We're an adult. We're business people. We're out here doing business. We need to. Why we got to be playing games? Any other broker on the load board be happy to tell you the details on the load. But he want to play games. He ain't moving no load with me today. Somebody else gonna pull that heavy behind load. And like we trying to do business, man. So like I was saying, if If you hire a plumber, roofer, whoever to do services for you, a plumber's gonna come to your house, wherever you at, and look, assess the work and say, okay, um, it's gonna be about 500 to get this done. Cool. He top up an invoice for you, he send it to you, and the only thing you can do is either you pay and move forward with the services or you don't. But you can't hire a plumber and you call up the plumber and the plumber is like, hey, yeah, I got a backed up toilet. And the plumber's like, so what kind of toilet? How many stories is your house? What, how, you know, start asking you questions and you're like, nah, I can't give you that until you give me a quote. That ain't how you do business. You hire a roofer to come do work for you to replace your roof. And you ask a roofer, say, hey man, I need you to come do my roof. How many stories is your house? What type of shingles do you look for? Nah, I can't tell you that. I can't tell you that till you give me that. It's crazy, man. It is crazy. It is crazy. I'm picking up a cotton load. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. All right, you have a good one. I like this paper. I like this paper here. Some smooth paper. Smooth paper. But yeah, we got another cotton load. We tearing the cotton loads up, man. You know. It's the only place I can get $1,000 a day, you know. So it's the only place I can get some money to run the truck. So I got to come down here and get these cotton loads. So that's just what it is. There's nothing I can do. I have to come down here and get these cotton loads. And there's another cotton load picking up, but I'm looking for a backhaul to get me back in this area so I can get another cotton load. I'm not seeing a backhaul. I'm not seeing a backhaul. But let me finish this video, then I'll pull off in case somebody else come in here and get loaded. CeeLo say, good job, stay firm, only the strong survive. I don't want to say stay firm. I'm not trying to be a jerk. But I mean, it is what it is, man. You can't expect me, you know, it's not being a jerk. I'm not being unreasonable. So I mean, if you're gonna act funny with your load, I can act funny too. I mean, it's just what it is. It's like, you know, it's like I like to do business with good people, you know, and it's like I can pick it up on the phone. Like you pick up the phone, somebody, like it was a lady broker. I picked up a load of it was a Sherwin-Williams load. It was a Sherwin-Williams load, and it was a Sherwin-Williams load, and it was like a load of pigment, some kind of pigment ingredient for that goes into Sherwin-Williams products. Some kind of pigment material, powder material, some kind of granulate material. So I called on the load. I seen the load on the board. I called on it, and we negotiated a rate. I think I negotiated like $9.75 on the load. Actually, I negotiated $9.50. She was trying to get me to move it for $800 or something like that, some low number. I got her up to $9.50. I got the rate con. She actually put $25 more on the load. She gave it to me for $9.75. Right? And so that whole transaction, I felt good about it because she seemed like a nice lady on the phone, and she wasn't pushy. Her voice, her tone in her voice was pleasant, and it just seems like she was willing to do business. Like it is, I asked her who's the shipper on the load. She was like, oh no, it's this place. She gave me the address and everything. She's like, okay, yeah, you can type this in your Google Maps. And like I was like, okay, yeah, I can run this. Yeah, it's not nothing crazy. Oh, it's like 50-mile deadhead. Okay. And I asked her who's the receiver on the load. And she told me the receiver, and she said it was going to Sherwin-Williams in Beaufort, Georgia. And I was like, and I looked at it, I was like, okay, yeah. So I gave her a price, and you know, we went from there. And like that transaction was pleasant. Now, you're not always gonna have a pleasant transaction on Lowe's, but it's just, I'm just giving an example. And it's just it's just interesting, you know, sometimes when you're dealing with, you know, somebody that's supposed to be a professional, supposed to be, it's supposed to be a professional, uh you know, and it's like it's a shame because, you know, a lot of brokers don't see truck drivers as professionals. That's why they treat us like that, you know, because they see us, we in the truck, and the image of the typical truck driver, you know, he's dumb and stupid. He sit behind the truck all day long. He stank, you know, blah blah blah. But it's you know, it's, people don't understand that these trucks, these are corporations going down the road, and like it takes somebody to run these damn things. You know what I mean? And you got to know what you're doing. And so with that being said, if you don't know what you're doing, like a lot of people, they don't even know what it takes to run a truck. But then, you know, you got these brokers want to play games, play children's games. Like, I'm a grown man. You gotta be playing no games with me, you know. But you know, I'm not pulling the load. Maybe somebody else will pull the load, but you know, um Shahid Mustafa said, you got your truck ready for June 3rd? Nah, I'm taking off, man. I don't play them kind of games. I don't play them games. It's a game, man. It's a joke. Because if you're gonna do a blitz and then you're gonna inspect me and then you're gonna tell me when you gonna inspect me, why participate in that? I mean, I may not even get called in because the last couple of years I haven't been called in a blitz. I haven't been called in a blitz in a long time. It's been let me see when I was called in a blitz. I was called in a blitz way back in like 2010. It was 2010 when I was called into scale during a blitz. And it wasn't pleasant. Like, they ran through my truck and it was just a waste of time, man. Like, you sitting up there and they looking at your truck, and it was just, I was late on my load and I had to reschedule my load. It was just a whole bunch of rigmarole. It ain't even worth it, man. Just stay home. I'm staying home, man. It ain't even worth it. Especially as an independent carrier. What's the point? What's the point of running, right? When you gotta run a business, I mean, if I'm gonna get inspected, I'll run empty. I'll just run empty across some scales. Because then I don't have to worry about it. Because if I'm under a load and then it's going to take them 2 hours, and you know they're going to have a whole bunch of trucks out there. They're going to have a whole lot of DOT officers out there, a whole lot of trucks out there looking for stuff. And it's going to be 2-3 hours. And whatever the case may be, the DOT officers, they're going to be high strung. They're going to be high strung. They're going to be looking for stuff. It don't even have to do anything that have to do with trucking. But if they find something, they're going to put you out of service, and now that's going to mess you up even worse. What's the point in even participating in that? I take off. I'm good. I'm taking off. There ain't no point. You be up under a load. You running a load. You trying to do a business. You trying to run a business and provide a service, and then here they come messing you up. You got this load on your back, and you can't be late on, man. You can't be late on this freight out here, man. You know, and then they hold you up thinking, you know, like, I might as well just run empty and let them pull me in, and I can just sit up there all day long. And then they can come at you at your truck and be like, oh yeah, your steering wheel, it got too much play. Replace the whole steering wheel. Like, get out of here. It's a joke. It's a joke, man. Ain't nothing about that whole thing got anything to do with safety. It don't have nothing to do with safety, man. It's just a joke. They like to pull stuff out their ass and fine you for it. Oh, well, your seat is too high. $1,500 for a fine. Oh, your door is open. Your window is open. $1,500 fine for your window being open. Get out of here, man. It's a joke. But yeah, I'm taking off next week. I'm taking off. So I'm taking off. I know y'all company drivers and lease own guys, y'all don't have to worry about it. But as an independent carrier, nah, not doing it, not participating in it. What's wrong with people? Yeah, they crazy, man. Joshua Perkins said, just go do a volunteer inspection ahead of time. Just bobtail up there. Yeah, I've been thinking about doing that. It's just I just be busy. I've been meaning to do that because I was reading about that and I was like, you know what, that's a good idea. Because that way you control the situation. You can go down there and the officer would be more lenient, and he'll just look at your truck and be like, yeah, all right, man. It put you down, clean inspection. You know what I mean? So, but if they gotta chase you down and fine you, then they think you're hiding something. But yeah, I've been meaning to do that. Because I'm not too far from a few scales. I'm not too far. In Atlanta, you got that scale out there on Thornton Road on I-20, and there's a scale down in LaGrange, Georgia. Down in LaGrange, Georgia, off of 85. So I'm not too far from a few scales. I could deadhead down there and do a walk-in inspection. I've been noticing increased DOT activity lately about a week before the scheduled blitz. Yeah, I've been seeing them. They be out here, man. They out here, but but it's crazy, man. The blitz be on, man. It is like they had the lights out there. They be out there for 48, 72 hours straight. Like they had the lights out there. It's like a football game. It be lit up. They had the lights, the generators, and it's like a damn party or something. And they have the dogs out there. It just be wild. It's just wild out there. They're having all these trucks parked everywhere. It's just be wild. I'm like, wow, this is crazy, man. This is crazy. I think I'm just going to drive at night it don't matter. Driving at night don't matter, man. If you can, just park your truck for 3 days. Just park your truck. It don't even matter, because I know the scales where I live at, they will be running the 20 straight. They're gonna have full shifts. Nah, don't think you're gonna ride at night and sneak by and not. Nah, man. They gonna be out there. I tried it plenty of times, trying to scoot by at midnight, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning. They got the lights out there, man. They ready for you. Come on in here. Come on in. And they just standing there waiting. They got their flatbed thing to get up under your truck with. They got the dogs out there. They ready. They wide open too. Yeah, don't think you gonna sneak by running at night. I'm gonna run at night. Nah, you ain't. Every 85 days, just go beat them in what? Just go beat them at their own game so you get passed for 90 days. Yeah, I've been meaning to do it. I just, you know, but I mean, I'm not saying there ain't nothing wrong with my truck. I mean, because um, I do a walk around on my truck every day, and I mean, I got a couple bad tires that's suspect. You know, I got a couple tires that's suspect, and uh, you know, it's a few things that's suspect. But I mean, from my perspective, I don't see nothing wrong with my truck or trailer. So, but knowing a DOT officer, they can look at your airline, and the airline could be like just 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 a little bad. I mean, it's they'll look at it with a magnifying glass and be like, oh man, I can see this little crack in your airline. Replace that. Out of service. Out of service. Got to get that fixed, you know. And you know the mechanics on standby. They know. They come and jack up the price on you. $1,500 to replace the airline. They waiting on standby. They know what's up. Oh, you got that fuel card? Rashid Mustafa? Shahid Mustafa, you got that fuel card? Yeah, man, enjoy that. Depending on where you go at, man, you can get almost 50 cents off the cash price. But I say average, I average 30 to 40 cents off. That's what I average. I save anywhere from like 60 to like anywhere from 60 to $150 a week sometimes. So it's you know it's a decent program. It ain't nothing spectacular, but it's you getting something. You saving something. You know, you can stabilize your fuel costs. Like my fuel costs is steady right at 270 a gallon. 270, 275, 274 a gallon, you know. And so wherever I go, I'm getting about 260, 270, 275 a gallon for fuel. Team 48. All right, man, I check my email. All right. You work at Ford Air. Yeah, I don't know nothing about Ford Air. I mean, I talked to a few guys who run for Ford Air. They like it, but I mean, I don't know too much about them. I mean, I just talked to a few guys, you know, that run for them, and they said that they like it, but I don't know much to say about them. But I'm gonna give you my opinion on a general. I'm gonna give you a general ideal on a trucking company. When you're looking at a trucking company, a trucking job, either leased on or company driver, don't matter. When it comes to trucking companies, what I look for, these are basic 3-4 basic things that I look for in a trucking company. When I'm about to do an application for a trucking company, I want to look at their website and I want to see that they have a wide variety of divisions to work in. I like to see a trucking company that's got dry, reefer, flatbed, tanker, local, just a wide variety of divisions to get in. So if you don't like dry van no more and you want to do curtain side, you can do curtain side. If you don't want to do curtain side no more, you can do reefer. If you want to, if you run reefer for about 6 months, you're like, man, I'm tired of this reefer, man. I want to do some flatbed. They'll train you. They'll train you up on some flatbed, and you will run for some flatbed. Some other things I like to look at. I like to look at their pay scale. I like a consistent pay scale. I don't like the variable pay scales. You know, the pay scales where depending on how many miles you run, you make this much a mile. No. I like pay scales that's fixed. So when I walk in the door, I need you to pay me this amount of money per mile, 40 cents a mile, or whatever the case is. That's what my pay is. Whether I run 200 miles or 5,000 miles, I just want to see that. And so when I look at a pay, I like to see the pay. It's a wide range of pay, and I like to see incentives for pay. And so I like to see fuel bonuses. I just like to see that the company is active in paying guys a bonus of some kind, you know, performance bonus. I want to see like the raises. I want to know what the raises are and what they are on a period of time. So I want to, like some companies, they will give you the scale. They'll give you a schedule on the pay. So it'll say, okay, it'll give you vacation schedule and stuff like that. So it'll say, okay, 6 months, you get a 2-cent raise. And after 6 months or after a year, you get a 1-cent raise per year. And then depending on your performance, you get a 2-cent per mile bonus. And so any given time, you can get 2, 3, 4 cent raise in an even given year, depending on your performance. You get a cost of living raise. I like to see all that stuff. I like to see a certain type of vacation. I like to see, you know, I like to accrue a certain amount of vacation. Okay, so in your first year, after you be with the company for like 90 days, 3 months, 6 months, you get 1 week vacation or something like that. And after 1 week vacation, your second year, you get 2 weeks. And then after that, after like 5 years or so, you get like 4 weeks vacation, whatever the case may be. I just like to see that the company has got a good pay package this is for company drivers. I like to see a pay package that gets me motivated about coming to work. I don't want no rinky-dink company just paying me whatever. You know what I'm saying? So that tells me that the company respects their drivers and they want their drivers to come to work and work. Now, when we're looking at company driver jobs, I like to have a terminal in my home city where I live at. So if I live in Atlanta, Georgia, I need for them to have a terminal. If they don't have no terminal, that ain't gonna work, because you're gonna need somewhere to park that truck. In Atlanta, Georgia, parking is really hard. And if the company that you work for don't have a terminal, it's gonna be hard for you to make arrangements for that truck. Where are you gonna park it? Okay, if they got a terminal, I like for the terminal to have a shop. So when you need to get a PM done and you go on your home time, you can get with your fleet manager and just like, hey, I need to put my truck in for service. Okay, you put your truck in for service, they service the truck, you come back out off your home time, the truck ready, you don't miss no time, and you get back to work. And so you don't want to be doing PMs on the road, because that's wasting time. That's wasting time. And so you want a terminal so you get all the resources that you need. You can get a spare tire for your truck if you need one. You can get a gallon of oil and stuff like that. Instead of doing that stuff on the road, you need to be focused on getting money when you're on the road, because you're doing all this other stuff. The company ain't gonna pay you for that stuff. They're not gonna pay you to do a PM. They're not gonna pay you to do this stuff. You need to stock up on your truck, all the stuff that you need. So I like to have a terminal. So all the training that you need to do a safety training, you need to talk with your fleet manager. You can give your fleet manager, you can build a relationship with your fleet manager. I like to have terminals in my hometown. If they don't have a terminal, it got to be something else that the company is doing real good to outweigh that not having a terminal. That's a big one. Having a terminal. Let me see. Okay, and it's when we talk about having a terminal, when you having a terminal, that communicates to me that they have freight in that area. Okay, so when a company invests money into a terminal, in resources into a terminal, you got a shop, you got your fleet manager's desk. When a company invests money into a property in an area, that tells me that they have freight in the area. That means I'm gonna be getting through the house often. And so for all the times I was a company driver, I always focused on that kind of stuff because as a company driver, I remember I used to get through the house every weekend or at least once during the week or something like that, because loads are coming through the house because they got a terminal. You can do relay loads because you can relay a load with another driver, drop the load on the yard, and you can pick up another load, take that load that way, and you could be getting good consistent home time because that company has business customers servicing out of the area because they got a terminal. That communicates to me that they have a customer base. Now, if you with a company that they don't have no terminals in your area, you might want to think about it. You might want to think about it because you're not going to be home. They're going to be running you in their home area, wherever that is. So if you in Atlanta, Georgia, and the company is based out of Chicago, they don't have no terminals in Atlanta, Georgia, they're based out of Chicago, you're going to be in Chicago. You're going to be nowhere close to Atlanta. It's just common sense. So that's what I look for in trucking companies. And so you can make good money, all right, being close to the house as a company driver, but you got to do your due diligence to find the company that's a best fit for you. Okay, don't just find some random company because your boy said, oh man, they good, but then you ain't getting home. Now, don't get me wrong, as much as I talk about running hard and working hard, I work hard, but at least get me home once a week or every 2 weeks. The companies out here, man, they'll run you months before they get you home, and you don't want to do that. You don't. It's really no point to come out here and run months unless you want to, unless you don't have no house or apartment or something like that. But if you got friends and family at the house, man, you want to get by the house at least once every 2 weeks, at least, minimum, at least. It's because from my experience, if you're away from the house more than 2 weeks at a time, you're not making more money. You're not making no more money. There's a point where you start running. When you start running past 3 weeks, you're not gonna see more money. The cap is like 2 weeks. The cap is like 2 weeks. Because like staying out past 2 weeks is not gonna get you more money. Okay, so there's any of you guys who've been running over the road for a long time, you know what I'm talking about. Like, I've tested it. I've been out 2 months at a time, and I've been out 2-3 weeks at a time, and like it really don't matter as far as money. There's a breaking point right around 2 weeks somewhere, and if you coming home every 2 weeks with 2 or 3, 4 days at the house, that's a good sweet spot. That's a good sweet spot. You're getting good home time, making damn good money, and you're not sacrificing much because you're making good money and you're getting by the house. And so so that's just my opinion. That, you know, and so you can apply that concept to just about any company. And so a lot of guys look at the company when it just is. You got to find a company that's good for you, for your situation, depending on where you live at, the company's customer base, what type of services because you got companies, they do drive-in, but there's some companies that do paper rolls. They do paper all day long. So all the freight you're going to be pulling, you're going to be going to paper producers. You're going to be going to International Paper, West Rock, Mead, Georgia Pacific. And so all your freight is just paper rolls type freight. And there's some companies that only do retail freight. They do Marshalls, Target, Walmart. And like, I don't like that kind of freight. I do not like retail freight because you sit a lot. You go into these Walmarts and these Targets, the Big Lots and all these retail big box places, you sit. Okay, you sit to get loaded because the retail, you gotta understand what retail stores do. They sell a lot of small little stuff, and they gotta put that on your trailer. Now, if you pull in like flour, sugar, that's all one type of freight. That's all one type of freight. And so if you pull in like sugar, well, you taking sugar to a high-end, a high-level producer. Because if you got bulk sugar in like big barrels, well, you taking that sugar to like a Nestle or something that's using the sugar to produce their drinks. You're not pulling big barrels of sugar to Walmart. You get what I'm saying? So it depends on the company, and you got to understand what these companies and what companies are doing, what type of business. Okay, so these companies got customers to service, and you got to figure out what type of freight are they pulling, even with reefer. And so if you got, so you got reefer, you got some reefer companies, all they pull is pharmaceuticals. Okay, they pull in pharmaceuticals, they pull in beef, they pull in chicken. There's some companies that just pull chicken all the time. Chicken all the time. There's some companies that pull beef all the time. And like, if you pull in beef, you gonna go to these nasty, like, I pulled some chicken loads before. And if you ever pulled a chicken load, you go into these nasty, you can smell the rotten chicken a mile away, man. It's like, even in drive-in, I pulled some chicken loads. Now I pulled like grain or something into the chicken facility, or I pulled like it's like some leftover material. It's like just dry product that they have left over from processing the chicken product. And so you know, so when you looking at a company, these are a lot of things you want to look at that way. So when you get with a company, your quality of work life is gonna be dictated on the type of freight, that if they got a terminal, you pay it just, because all of that's gonna come into play. You know, whether you're gonna sit at a dock long, or like with cotton loads, if you running for a company that pull cotton loads all the time, you don't sit much. It took me like 15 minutes to get loaded. I got to pull up out of here because there's some trucks that just came up. But it only take you 15, 20 minutes to load a cotton load. If you don't like sitting, that's an easy load. But if you pulling a Walmart load, just expect to sit at a Walmart warehouse for 3-4 hours. Just expect it. Sometimes you get out earlier, but expect to sit at a Walmart, a Target, 4 or 5 hours. Big Lots, 3, 4, 5 hours. I mean, all the big box retailers. So if you, but anyway, so that's just the deal. And you gotta figure that out, you know, and that's my opinion. So if you focus on some of that stuff rather than the company, you know, that allows you to weed out all the BS of the company, and then you would enjoy working for and coming to work, because your driving and work experience would be good. You just come to work, run the loads, you get unloaded, move to the next one. You drive the load, pick the load up, drive the load, get unloaded, you go to the next one. You don't want to be pulling freight, picking up the load, and they give you a load that's going 200 miles, but you sitting on the load for like 3 days. That don't make sense. But see, you're going to experience that with retail freight. Retail freight is famous for doing that. You sit up under that load for 3 days because of an appointment. If you're dealing with manufacturer type freight, if you're dealing with big manufacturers where the open window is between 8 to 5 on both ends, you got plenty of time to pick the load up, deliver it whenever you get there. And so pet care products, yeah, because there's a lot of little small little stuff Let me get up out of here. These guys, they only got one dock over here, so. But y'all got me rambling over here. Would you ever buy an older truck cash? Your thoughts? A good plan B if truck one ever go down. It all depends, and I'm explaining to you. It all depends. It's just like anything else. It all depends. It all depends. It all depends. All right, so let me see. I got about, I'm gonna do about 10 more minutes, then I'm gonna call it a day. So old truck versus new truck. I would definitely get an older truck if you got money in the bank, if you got cash in the bank. If you're mechanically inclined. If you're not mechanically inclined, you need to go and get you the newest truck possible with the money that you can afford. Get the newest truck you can afford. And generally that truck is going to be a truck with about 300,000 to 400,000 miles. That's going to be in the range of about 50,000, somewhere in there. That truck, not saying all the trucks in that area don't break down, but your chances of something breaking down is going to be less. However, you know, trucks with 300,000 to 400,000 miles on it do break down. However, a cash truck about 15 to 20 is going to give you more problems than a truck that's about 40 or 50. You get what I'm saying? So the thing is if you're not mechanically inclined, you shouldn't be messing with no extra used truck, like a truck with 1 million miles on it. You shouldn't be messing with it, because if you don't know your way around a toolbox, if you don't know your way around mechanical things like motors, engines, electrical things, when it comes to like trucks and stuff like that, you're gonna be in the shop all the time. And so the shop can tell you anything and they're gonna railroad you. You got to know how to discern between, okay, you got to be able to decide or discern between, okay, something that's mandatory, shop worthy, and something that you can just fix on your own, like a starter. Like with a couple tools, you know, and a little bit of common sense, I say that anybody can put a starter on a truck. That's not worthy of going to the shop for $1,000, okay? Because the starter's gonna run you about $300-400, and then the labor is gonna be another $300-400. So you're gonna be looking at $1,000 for a starter, somewhere about 8 or so. And so to save some money, you can shop around, okay? You can shop around and get the best price on the starter. And if you shop around, you get a starter for about $200 or $300, okay? And then you can put it on yourself. That saves some money. And then it's just basic common sense. And so, like, for example, with a starter, right? Now, sometimes with starters, you can kind of bang on them to like get them going. Sometimes you can bang on them and like the starter is past its life. You just gonna have to replace it. But sometimes with starters, when they start to go bad, the solenoids sometimes go bad, or like the mechanics of it, they get stuck. And so when you bang on it, you kind of helping it along. And so you can do that for like 2 years with a starter before you have to replace it. And so just common sense things like that, like you know, just knowing your way around certain things and knowing your limit on certain parts and how far you can push it before you actually have to repair it, you know. And I mean, yeah, so should you get a used truck, a cash truck, is all up to your abilities and what you know and what you understand. And so if you're down for the challenge, hey, go after it. But I suggest try to get the newest truck you can that you can afford. You get, you know, so like myself, like me personally, I would go after a used truck for about 15,000 and take my time working on the truck. And that would be like, I would keep this truck and then get another truck for about 10 or 15,000. Okay. And then I can work on that truck on the weekend and get that truck running. And, you know, like, shoot, I mean, I could probably do an in-frame on that truck, because all you got to do is take the head off and then replace the pistons, the bearings, and a few other things, maybe some valve springs or something like that, and some rocker arms, whatever the case may be, and have the head resurfaced and you know, put a new starter on there, put new airlines on there. Granted, that's a lot of work. However, and up to my abilities, I feel confident that I can handle something like that. You get what I'm saying? Now, it would take me a long time. However, it depends if you know, because it may be cheaper to do it that way. Because, you know, you could take your truck to a shop to do an in-frame, man. You're looking at 15,000, 15, 16, about 15 to 18,000 do an in-frame on the truck. And that's all labor. That's all labor. I would say 75% of that is labor. I mean, maybe $2,000 or $3,000 of it is $2,000 or $3,000 of it is like parts. And so with that being said, if you can go get you some pistons, get the head resurfaced, get some valves and get the springs redone and just little stuff like that. You can do, you know, put a new compressor on there, like doing all that stuff. You might be in the thing for about $5,000 in parts. And you can, you know, if you got the time. Now, if you don't got the time, you might want to just put it in shop, get it done in 3 weeks, and they'll just jump on it. They're professionals. They get it done in 2-3 weeks and move on. But you can kind of save that step though. So you can save that step just by buying a truck that's already had an overhaul on it. You can find an old truck out there, a refurbished truck out there that's been through an engine overhaul already. And basically you'll be getting a brand new truck. You know, if you find a truck that's got 1 million miles on it and you talk to the guy, and he's like, man, here go the paperwork. I had this truck overhauled. It's got 100,000 miles on the overhaul. Here are all the receipts and everything. It's like, man, you might walk into a good deal, $15,000 truck. That's a good deal. I would do that. But that's what I would do. Just, you know, find a truck that had an overhaul done on it. You know, find a truck that had an overhaul on it. So that's what you could do. But you know, this business it's risky. So, you know, you just gotta figure some things out and figure out what you want to do. Let's see what y'all talking about in here. Do you recommend starting in a different division, tanker, to make more money out of school, knowing that you want to get your own authority? I mean, a lot of that, it just depends on. A lot of that just depends on your area. It all depends on your area. Y'all gotta understand that trucking is a regional business. It's kind of like if you're a landscaper, right? If you're a landscaper, a barber, a plumber, right? A roofer. Okay, trucking, if you live in the South, trucking is a lot different than if you live in the North. Like if you live in, like, I don't know, Chicago. So like if you apply like roofing or plumbing, like the plumbing code is different than the plumbing in Georgia. You get what I'm saying? So you just got to find out in your area. You got to do the research and find out, okay, which divisions either pay the most, which divisions that you are interested in, and what divisions are more common in your area. And so once you get an understanding of that, like, you could do pretty good. Like in Georgia, in the South, the best thing, in my opinion, the most common thing in the Southeast is probably going to be containers. Guys pull a lot of containers down in the Georgia Southeast area. So you really don't need a trailer. You could do all right. You won't make a lot of money, but you'll be all right just having a truck. And if you want to pull containers. Now, in my opinion, the second one that comes in line is reefer. I would say in the Southeast, I would say reefer is probably the best piece of equipment you can have. That's just my opinion. So, because you can run freight in and out of Florida at a good rate. You can run $2 a mile freight out of Florida with a reefer. Okay. So I've been really thinking about getting a reefer. I wish I would have got a reefer, but at the same time, I'm like, because reefers are more headaches. But at the same time, it's like, man, I want to make more money. But I thought about trying to find like a good used reefer and see, what I can do with it. But that's another conversation. But you just got to look in your area and find out what sector, what division of trucking is more favorable in certain areas. Like in Texas. In Texas, you got tankers, not tankers. In Texas, you got containers, container haulers, and then you got the guys who pull oil field, who do the oil field. And so, if you live in Texas, you might want to get into pulling flax sand or something like that in the oil field if you live in Texas. Not saying that you can't do dry van, but I'm just giving an example on, the different divisions. You just got to take your time and just do your research on the areas that do good, okay? And you might be more lenient to certain areas, because if you get into like a division that has a lot of freight in your area, that will give you a better opportunity to get home. So if you're running freight that's outside of your area, you're never gonna be home. It's just common sense. So like in Georgia, I live in Georgia. I have no business running flax sand. There are no flax sand companies in Georgia. It may be one or two, okay? So I have no business getting into that sector of trucking, pulling flax sand in Georgia. Now, if I lived in Texas, I would definitely do it. Because flax sand is a common industry. It's a common sector in trucking. And so you probably don't need a sleeper. You can get a day cab in Texas. You can get a day cab in Texas, be home every night because you live in Texas and that's what you're doing. That's your industry. You ain't going far. And so it's just common sense. You know, these are the things that I see a lot of guys don't really talk about. Everybody just say, get in the truck and find a company. Well, how do you find a company? How do you find the best fit company for you? And like a lot of guys don't talk about this stuff. And so am I leasing on trucks? I've been back and forth about it. As much as I be talking in my videos about being a man and being a pussy and all that, it's like, man, I don't know, man. It's tough. Because I don't need nobody to go out there and get an accident, get a ticket under my authority. I just don't need that. I really don't need that. But I don't know. I mean, God willing, man, I make up my mind what I want to do. The key to an older truck is you must have a great mechanic. Bought my truck from the owner, getting out the game, 13.5, never been on the side of the road. Yeah, man, that's a good deal you found right there. You've been out here 63 days. I mean, sometimes that situation you dealing with is preparing you for something else later. So, I mean, I can go on and on about all this stuff. You know, sometimes you got to put up with some BS in your life to get to the next step. And so I try to look at everything as a learning experience. But hey, I think I'm gonna end the video right here. We got about 57 minutes on the video. I ran my mouth long enough. I think this video pretty good. And so I gotta get going on this load. And I appreciate y'all watching my videos.